Okay, can you hear me? Sorry, what if I talk normal? If I talk normal, can you still hear me back there? Fantastic. What if I whisper? Yeah. Okay. You're good, Laura. You can do whatever you want. Fantastic. All right, welcome everyone to Helicon West and our first time being back, like in the flesh.
Woo!
It's been over a year and I'm so excited. My name is Brittany and I will be your MC for this evening. First of all, just to read our mission statement real quick. Redundancy. Helicon West is a live reading series that brings published local writers to read alongside community members in an open, uncensored forum. In order to promote the voice of every community member and democratic ideals, we honor all levels of skill, ability, and craft. In addition to featuring published authors to give the literary arts more exposure in Cache Valley and its surrounding areas, we invite and celebrate aspiring writers from every walk of life to find and share their voices with us. We are committed to the causes of inclusion, accessibility, and representation in our writing communities. I would like to thank our sponsors. In alphabetical order, we've got the Bear River Heritage Area, the Logan Library, Sugar House Review, the Utah Humanities, our friends in the USU English and Inclusion Centers, and our founder and patron saint, Star Colebrook. All right, if you would like to read during the open mic portion of our event tonight, please find our sign-up sheet, which is on a makeshift clipboard over here next to the beverages. After our featured readers, we will get, and by beverages, it's water. After our featured readers, we will get as far down the list as time permits. We've got till 9, I think, 8:30, 9. Each reader will have up to 7 minutes of time to read for us, and after 7 minutes, they will politely be clapped away from the microphone. All of our Helicon West events are recorded and then posted to our Helicon West YouTube channel. If you do not wish to be recorded, but would like to read during the open mic, please make a note by your name on the sign-up sheet. You can even just put like a little asterisk, and that lets me know to pause the recording when it's your turn to come up and read, okay? Announcements. Helicon West is made possible by our generous sponsors and also by the community that we serve. To help us stay in person until the new Logan Library is built, not to mention like hydrated and caffeinated, there are several ways that you can make a donation tonight. You can support Helicon West by donating online at sugarhousereview.com/save-helicon-west. I can spell that for you if you want me to. I'll write you a little note during the reading. Someday we will have a QR code that you can scan and will be so high-tech, but you can also leave your sweet, sweet pocket change in our collection can over by the water. Help us continue to bring free literary events to our community. If something moves you, if the drinks revive you, if you got a great cheap date out of tonight, consider leaving a tip to help a good thing going. Okay, then without further ado, our reader tonight, who we are so thankful to have, she's been so patient and waited, and she's bringing us back to real life. Laura Stott is the author of 2 collections of poetry, Blue Nude Migration and In the Museum of Coming and Going. Her poems can be found or are forthcoming in various publications, including Barrow Street, Sugar House Review, Western Humanities Review, Copper Nickel, and Mid-American Review. In 2020, she received an Ogden City Mayor's Award in the Arts for making a difference in the community through the literary arts in Ogden, Utah. She holds an MFA from Eastern Washington University and teaches at Weber State. Help me welcome Laura.
I think it's good. Can you guys hear me? Do I need it closer? Not quite.
How about that? It's a little better. How's that?
That's even better.
Okay, okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Thank you. I am so happy to be here, and I've been really looking forward to this, and this is the first in-person poetry reading I've done in over a year, and I'm just so grateful to Helicon West, and just thankful to all of you for being here. And I know that Helicon West has such a great community associated with it, and you guys are so good at just showing up, and I love that, and I'm just thankful to Sugar House for you too for being here, and I get to see you in person. So I'll start. I'm going to read sort of a smattering of different kinds of things tonight. I'm going to start with my book that came out about a year ago, my pandemic baby, and I was going to bring, it was a collaboration with my sister. She did some beautiful paintings that are in full color in the book, and I was going to bring a couple of the originals with me tonight and set them up, but then I was nervous it was going to rain and I didn't want them to get wet. I don't mind getting wet, but I didn't want the paintings to get wet. So, and speaking of, it is just such a gift of a day today with this cool weather. I'm so happy about it. So, so if you want to look at the paintings, and here's the other thing, I needed to get some new copies of my book in, and they didn't arrive in time. So I only have one copy to sell. But I have some of my older book with me, but one of you can be the lucky person to buy that copy. And then you can show everybody else too. So they're beautiful. Maybe I'll hold it up. So it's titled Blue Nude Migration. It was an ekphrastic collection. Most of the poems in here are responding to visual artists. And then my sister did these paintings to go with them. Henry Matisse, his blue nudes, those blue nude cutout prints, were the nudes that I had in mind. And in my poems, they sort of come off of the page and they start wandering around everywhere. That's all I'm going to say about that. All right. When you were distracted, the blue nudes took themselves off the canvas. When you aren't paying attention, they're walking beside you after a ball game, a train station, where the woman next to you looks up at the bald blue sky. Down the tracks they go, into the tunnel, railroad pilings, ballast, thistle, and toes. In a train car in Spokane, there's an assembly of nudes, heads between their knees, rocking, crossing boundaries to the inland empire, sleeping to the same sounds my baby wakes to at night, pointing at the window, her mouth in the shape of the smallest O. The muddy prints of a raccoon decorate a rusty rail for a mile, and the nudes follow the tiny painted hands. The animal is eating fish or garbage. The animal is hiding somewhere in the blue dark. Blue nude migration. Look, the blue nudes walk across the desert. The western U.S. is dotted with their indigo bodies. They move slow, they stumble down the dunes. They wait in the cool gloom of desert palm. They dig their toes blue into the crust of yellow earth and all the cactus, so much of it, and all that bare skin. It is high noon. Are they hungry? Are they sad? One rides on the shoulders of a friend. She can watch their sea of nude. Artists have come to watch. They brought their sketch pads, their cameras. Some have brought their harmonicas. The nudes tilt their heads bashfully down or let their arms sweep dramatically by their sides. Where are they going? A young woman asks, gesturing toward them, paintbrush dangling out of her mouth like a cigarette. What will we do without them? A coyote sings, soon it will be night, as the nudes continue their steps, matching the moon's pull to earth, disappearing in the mountains of blue dirt. So this poem, not Matisse, but I was thinking of Georgia O'Keeffe. Flesh Sings. She painted music naked, titled it Blue and Green or Pink and Blue. The folds of notes, a river, long hair, a melody, the bass and straight lines. What is composition but what we see in a summer storm, what we see in our own bodies, letting these arms swing in the breeze, the ocean, the moon's cats, setting light, blue and green music. So it begins to rain. The landscape gathers itself and a soul rises from the grass. What are these folds painted in the self? Flowers in the garden, the turn in song, rhyme, iris, morning glory, skin. Dressed. The Blue Nudes decided to try on differences in skin. Pink didn't go well with their eyes, green made them jealous and guilty, red, never mind. The Blue Nudes found snakeskin left behind in the land of wandering snakes. They tried the skin on their arms, liked the iridescence of scales, the fragrant patterns that glowed like stars. New, blue, reptilian nude. They preferred dark, slept in shadow, stuck out their tongues, and swallowed small animals. Coiled, loved coiling. The Blue Nudes liked the pattern of their new life, the way the hearts of everyone around squirmed like nervous eels, sumptuous spines. But in time, the Blue Nudes missed the bareness. They wandered the desert in search of emptiness. They found a stage full of bats, kangaroo rats, and the dead limbs of cacti spread across sand. The Nudes were in awe with the way blue skin could disappear and reappear at sunset. We all held our breath. So this is a true story. It did get lost once in Alaska, but I made it out alive. This is what didn't happen. The Blue Nudes are lost in Alaska. They wander around the woods on a large island full of moose and bear. Large paws are tracked in mud. Hemlocks creak with wind, layers upon layers of moss. The Nudes want so badly to lie down in it, feel the damp on their skin. There are blueberries to eat and red squirrels that shout. Ocean rises and falls a few miles from them in any given direction. The Nudes feel the breath and hear the creatures with large hearts swim and sing. We must be so close. Do you see whales rise? No. The Blue Nudes, the lot of them, have formed a circle in the woods after hours of walking. Remember this tree broken here like this? The Nudes continue searching. What if we are never found and we never find? They stagger into a clearing full of feathers and drops of blood. They think of the tide retreating and boats that can take them away. They are moved to pray. They kneel beside a false azalea and ask God to provide a bird to lead them. They pray and pray. So this poem was originally published by Sugar House Review, so thank you. And I'm gonna, the painting that goes along with it is the painting that's on the cover of the book. Absence. Blue Nudes hide in the wheat fields, all that rolling grain. During the day, occasionally you'll see a body stand waist deep or a head lift up from the swaying, feathery tops of grain. They lie down in it and believe their secrets kept. Watch from the corner of your eyes at night. They come out, they stand and see no one and continue walking with their hands, palms down, the young wheat barely touching that skin. The moon is a sliver hiding in blackness above them, the stars falling clockwise as their bare feet turn slightly in the same direction, until they remember that North Star and perfect ladle, offering anyone a sip of universe, if they will take it. How is the sound so far? Is it okay? Okay, I'm getting that. Okay. So I thought I would read just a small amount from a new collection I'm working on, because it's fun to read things that are new. And by the way, I love the sound of sprinklers. Like, I think there's something really nostalgic about it for me. I don't know. I grew up in Draper, Utah, and it was a farming community when I was a kid. It's not anymore. But I think just all the fields around us and the sound of the sprinklers. Anyway, so I'm really enjoying that. Okay. I spent a lot of time out in the garden today, so this one features our garden. The dahlia makes a fire. The dahlia makes a fire on the kitchen table. My daughter calls it red. With scissors, I found the perfect blossom that would surely die in the freeze. The dream is over. What lives and what dies. Here is a sheet, there a blanket dotting the yard. The raspberries are turning crystal by crystal into balls of ice, the color of cheek, of tongue, lips, rose, little pink moons, hundreds of them, orbiting the decay below. Something else hides in the garden. There are animals walking the rows while we sleep. This is how we live. These berries for breakfast, pick what you can. Leave these for the masked crusaders in the dark. Everyone in the house sleeps. One daughter turned upside down, arms sprawled, one hand on her red pony, the other wrapped tight. How to mimic the womb. Each dream interrupted by hunger. A bowl of mountains surrounds us, and our moon rises over the edge. The woman inside it drops manna, each one a dream ready to be thawed. So, I'm all about nostalgia tonight, I guess. I have this strange affinity for public swimming pools. I think it's just a thing that goes back to my youth, I guess. But after my third daughter was born, little newborn, she just had a birthday. I wrote this sitting next to the pool while everybody else was swimming with her. She was with me, everyone else was swimming. Beneath. Think about the spirit of an animal that could occupy a house this big, the whale. There goes my firstborn, gliding past me at the pool with her dad in a man-made river, smiling and carrying the sun like she was born to do, making laps. There she goes again, wearing an octopus that floats. A mayfly lands on my arm, a messenger from another world filled with rivers, glass, and ancient things. All the faces I've ever known are floating past now too. My third grade teacher, my grandmother, the cashier at the market in LA. Seagulls circle like vultures and bodies disappear into slides. There my daughter goes again, waving her hand as she rounds the bend. The surface of the pool is the color of tropics and chlorine. Footprints evaporate all around me. A toddler runs to the edge of everything and is scooped up just in time. Beneath all our feet, beneath arms waving, cheers and screams, the water opens wide. Down there, a whale's massive tail disappears into the blue. Its eye blinks, its body rolls. Sharks dance in the light, then disappear. There, a flash of iridescence, a fish, a silver school of them a mile long. A song yawns out of the deep. So I keep bees. I have some backyard bees, and actually don't currently have any. Last fall, they absconded late fall, which is really strange behavior for them to swarm and leave that time of year. But I didn't know until February when I was suspicious something was up, right? But sometimes when it's really cold, they don't come out at all. So. And then my suspicions were confirmed, and the hive was empty when I discovered in February. But I remember a moment. I think I was probably about 20, 21 years old, and I was on a hike, and it came across sort of the seep in the ground, and the water, and you know how the bees love that. They want to come drink, and all the butterflies, and it was just covered. And I was, in the moment, I was more interested in the butterflies, and I was, doing this thing where I was trying to get them to crawl onto my finger, and I was right down there. And then all of a sudden I realized I was just surrounded by honeybees, and they were just so many of them, and just listening to that hum. And I think that was the beginning of it, where I was like, okay, I've got to have this later in my life. And so, and they're so fascinating. If you ask me questions about the bees, then I won't shut up for 2 hours. So I'm going to restrain telling you more about bees. But title of this poem is Colony Collapse Disorder. An entire colonies of bees doesn't come back. Every forager disappears while they are out looking for the sweet. Thousands of them at the mouth of an orange poppy, licking the fingertips of violet, alfalfa, arrowleaf, drunk on summer, all to survive what is to come, but never finding their way home. Where are all the lost? The women who don't return from work, the women who don't return with groceries, the children taken at the border, the children who run the bend on their bicycle and are gone. Men who dig trenches, tunnels underground, whole families into vans. A patrolman speaks to a screaming child, but the baby doesn't speak anyone's language. Someone goes for a hike and doesn't come back. The mountain is trying to tell us where to find them, but we don't understand. Bees are at a mountain stream drinking water that seeps out of the earth. If you are slow and quiet, make the right sounds, the butterflies there will crawl onto your finger. This was the last time anyone saw her. So one of the running themes in this new collection I'm working on are bears. I've been going back to a lot of Alaska imagery. So expecting. Mother bear can deliver her cubs during her long winter sleep. Less than 1 pound, and still the cubs know what to do. They nurse and claw and climb as their mother sleeps, the great beast. The babies grow against her heat while winter darkness slides further away every day. When I lie down at night, I have dreams that take me deep into the mountains where an animal waits in the dark space under a tree. The smell fills my nose, musk and wet earth. Somewhere there is a cry in the woods, a flash of wing, and your feet kick my rib from the inside, then my liver. You roll and yawn in your dark space, both baby and bear. An animal's heart beats in the black, and my hands reach to feel the rhythm secreted in a cavern. Outside the den, the bear's claws dig at decay, buried in the earth as something she wants to eat. Baby, when you come into the world, how will it be? Lights all over the room, green medical gloves, gown open, both of our heartbeats tracked by a machine. So I left my timekeeping apparatus over there. There's a gap. How much?
Oh, I mean, 15.
More?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I wasn't surprised when I said that. I just wanted to make sure I understood. I didn't want anyone to be like, okay, when is she going to finish already? Ada Limon, I don't know if you know the poet Ada Limon, but she's fabulous. If you don't know her, look her up. But I got to hear her once live, and she does this thing where she just tells you, okay, I'm reading 10 poems. You can do the countdown, and that way if you hate it, you know how much further you have to go. So, but there's no way you're going to hate it, because she's awesome. Okay. So, okay. I'm just going to get real, because I don't know. I think that we maybe don't do that enough, but with each other. But a lot of the poems in this collection, I wrote just like working my way through grief. And gosh, I usually can talk about it without crying when I'm in front of people. So I have my second daughter, was stillborn when she was 22 weeks. And a lot of the poems I wrote after that experience, and for a lot of things that entailed, just were kind of helping me get through it. And this is the only book I think that I've worked on that all of the poems I was actually a mom when I wrote them. So everything else I think I was pre-parenthood. And so I feel like this book is mostly for my daughters. And so there are some that talk about her or just like going through that process. And I think the bear, bears in Wales are so, like when you are in Alaska, there is always a bear. And even when you don't see the bear. And so they're always there. And I think that something about that sort of omnipresence of something that is both beautiful and terrifying, you're just a little scared of it, but you still want to see it. It's always with you. And whales are kind of interesting to me in that sense too, when you're close to the water. So I spent 10 years of summers up in Alaska. And in the whales, it's just, gosh, they're so big. And when they're under the surface, it's always fascinating me to think about like what's down there and this huge body that exists. And anyway, this is going to come up. This poem is titled Inside the Bear. Hold still, listen to the heartbeat. If you close your eyes and pay attention, you can hear outside the dark room of bear, to the sound of the beast walking on shore, searching for something else to eat. What did you think you would find in here? Out there, the river has a mouth that opens wide toward the ocean, where all the fish swim home. In its depths, water breathes life to everything that lives in the dark. A silver flash, purple stars cling to rocks. A song moves, a sigh, and the tide slips further away, where someone you love slides into the beautiful sea. Yet here you are. The bear sniffs salt. You can hear the grunt. She lifts her head. Inside, curled in the black belly, you watch the tunnel of throat, waiting for what? So this poem is titled The Bear's Claw, and I had a moment a few months after we lost the baby where I was driving down the road and something jogged my memory where I remembered an experience we had had in Alaska just before like we found out we were pregnant, and I guess and I was, my daughter was waking up in the middle of the night when we were on this trip, and the only thing that would calm her down, my eldest, would take her outside, and that cool Alaska air would hit her, and she'd calm right down, and I could put her back to bed. And so it was 2 in the morning, and we were staying in this little cove on the water, and at 2 in the morning at certain times in Alaska, it can still be quite light outside, and there's something very magical about that in the middle of the night light. It's different in the middle of the daylight, and so there's just this enchanting light, and it was all misty and super calm, and I was standing there holding my baby, rocking her, singing, and I looked, and on the lawn there was a bear, and so there was just sort of the beauty of this whole moment. It just was so tranquil and so peaceful, and I remembered the experience, and it suddenly just, I thought to myself, oh my goodness, I think that was the last time I felt totally at peace. Like I thought of that, and it's something I went back to over and over. And so that whole story actually isn't in this poem, that moment is in this poem. But I wanted to kind of give you that background because it became a really significant moment. So the bear's claw. You're downtown in an unnamed city. If you step out of your body and look around, you can see it, the bear. Next to the creek that winds through a shopping mall, trout swimming above the glitter of nickels and pennies. Wishes from pockets and purses, gifts for gods. There's the bear, fishing one out, a trout. He's ripping it apart on the concrete. World peace, a daughter to come home, a cruise in the Caribbean. I wish she would say yes. Once in the middle of the night, the bear was on the lawn, Alaska. I was up with the restless baby, only calmed by cold air. It was starting to get light, but it was only 2 a.m., the kind of light only the north brings and mist from the ocean. I sang that hymn, a lullaby, and she fell asleep against my body, my back to the house, my face to the bear, trying to see it in the growing dream, slowly taking shape in the dying night. Which foot to put in front of the other, which threshold to turn to, the door left open behind me, the wild lapping against the shore in front, a child sleeping heavy against my heart. So my baby Tori, who we lost, her name means bird in Japanese. And there's a little bird in this poem. Living forever. I don't want to die. I want to stand forever at the edge of this river, feet in the cold, holding the hand of my daughter, where every so often one of us reaches into the water and pulls out a stone. Look at this one, we say. From under the surface, we find something smooth and shining and pull it up. This one has a stripe. This one is the color of blood. And then we carry it back to Dad on shore, drop the prize into a heap. Our new baby sleeps next to a pile of stones, a rock cairn for some traveler, a goldfinch, bright as a butterfly, bounces on the other shore. What's between us? I want her to live forever. 1 week before the baby was born, I was startled by the heft of her body against my chest, her beautiful smushed face, and her cry. For a moment, that instant before her first breath, fear punched my heart. I held my own, but then it came. That cry I listened for down every moving hallway, like a river. And there we were together, holding on, saying, look what I found. Okay, so I'm going to read two more. This one is Ode to All the Messy Rooms in My House. And I wrote it in the middle of the pandemic, and now you know what the inside of my house looks like. So, Ode to All the Messy Rooms in My House. I praise you for your clutter of color, the Play-Doh creatures mashed into the rug, the small shoes sleeping under the couch, for all the tiger marbles, the sorry board game cards littering my floors. Sorry, sorry, sorry. To the rose petals under the shelf, to the beloved pony that has slept 600 nights in my daughter's arms, now tucked behind throw pillows, waiting for rescue from imagined hot lava on the floor. Ode to summer's mint and lavender hanging from the ceiling. Ode to the bag of treasures, leaves, grass collected all morning. Ode to winter's coats, wet and dripping, like the skins of small animals shed at a warm door. To the tired old balloon, a pink cellophane star, weeks past a birthday, resting here, bound to earth. To the stockpile of art left by the 5-year-old's hand, this portfolio of smiles and smells and snakes, of iguanas and trees and sea anemones. Treasure maps to her. To the bows and puzzle pieces tossed by a toddler like confetti, there is an eye of a fish and a picture of Maine in one corner, Arizona somewhere else. To my couch disassembled, a fort, someplace to hide in a jungle of here. To the kitchen floor covered in black beans running for the door, noodles, mashed banana, whatever didn't reach the baby's mouth. Her fingers fat and learning, the awkward reach of spoon, the proud smile. The slobber of child kisses on a window. To the jar of honey glowing on my ordinary table. Time is neither here nor there. Oh, old sweet, oh, afternoon sunlight, gold of summer and the slant light of winter. Ode to the peelings of pomegranate and seeds, jewels everywhere. O glove, O wild and precious life, O heart. Okay, so I'm going to close with a poem from my first book in the Museum of Coming and Going, and it's the last poem in the book, and it just feels appropriate after the last year that we've had. The title is La Union. In this story, the moon is absent, but in this country's past, the moon chased young families holding hands and singing at night on their way to watch sea turtles come in from the ocean, glistening reptiles moving with slow wisdom to bury eggs in sand. Everyone felt the luck of attention. Now trails disappear as every creeping vine stretches its fingers with fear. A poor village boy whose sweet mother told stories was told if he could understand the iguana's speech, and they only speak at night, he would have wisdom and wealth forever. So the boy waited for the longest night and no moon. He hid from robbers hiding in the streets, though there was nothing they would take from him. He hid from policemen piled in trucks with loaded guns, from snakes dangling from trees. The wild cats watched him go. Flowers closed their eyes and the bat moths fluttered after the black space of his shadow. The boy followed the fence that kept crocodiles in and the village out. The mangrove swamp sang with everything nocturnal. He felt his heart beat like no wild boar running behind him, over the top and in. Trees, strange shadows, and the shadows, but the boy found comfort in the sound of ocean and river running against each other, not too far away, all that vast moving glass. The boy even heard the voice of round stones in the dark waves when they breathed in, recognized the voices so much the boy almost spoke out. But then the iguanas climbed out of the trees, horned manes like some ancient animal refused from heaven. No one wrote it down. Long toes, striped tails, bright green bodies turned jade against the stars, one after another. In that moment, the orange giant, slowly with her great iguana mouth, pulled out the heart of the boy. And the crocodile, his two eyes rose over the thin surface of water and watched as witness before slipping back under. The orange iguana, looking like gold in the light dark creates, took the heart to the top of the trees. The others followed, full on sacrifice and desire. But then the surprising thing happened. Not that the boy still smiled or that a secret passed from one family to another, but the heart of the heart was given away, was offered up even to the sloth of the trees. And as it passed from mouth to claw, the sloth carried it for what seemed a lifetime to that place in the jungle, in the mountains, where pure hearts are kept, where there is no name or country, where snakes can't sniff them out, can't feel their heat, because butterflies flutter about them wildly, and flowers are red with sweetness and rich nectar, and no one dies, no one can. Thank you so much. Thank you for I forgot to say, I have these postcards that have a painting on them that's from the book and a poem on the back. And you can just take one if you want. So I'm going to set them up here. So anyway, just so you know they're there. Thanks again.
Okay, yeah, this will be the best way to do it. If you're taller than me, which is everyone, just use the wrist. Awesome. Thank you so much, Laura. Can we give her another round of applause? Beautiful. Oh, I'm so happy you came for us. I feel like I just have this wooden box full of pretty buttons now. You know, that's just gorgeous. Yes, buy her books. Where else can we find your books if you run out today?
Yeah, you can, this will have information on it, but you can really get them anywhere. You can order from your independent bookstores. They need them.
Order from your independent bookstores. Awesome, perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, then we will get going with our open mic. Again, please come grab a drink of water. If you want to sign up and just haven't yet, please come sign up. We have 4 readers up right now, so I will introduce them 2 at a time. Our first readers tonight will be Timothy, and followed by Chad. Okay, welcome Timothy.
Hello. So, hello. So, this, I just have a little poem, but to give context, because it's a little funny, I was just having Sunday dinner, and it was a birthday dinner, so there's more family in. And my brother Jacob, in talking about what's going on in his life, said this sentence where he said, "My friend Chris hurt his wrist." And I turned to my brother Michael, and I was like, "Oh, that was very poetic that he said there." And then he looks at me and goes, "Make a poem out of that." And I was like, "No, that's stupid." And then the writing side of me starts to work, and I was like, "Okay, fine." So I walk away, and in 5 minutes, I wrote a poem, How Chris Hurt His Wrist. And I wish I had brought it with me, but that's why you get, always have an emergency to write on. So I think it ended up being just slightly different from what I originally had. So here it is. How Chris Hurt His Wrist. What happened to my friend Chris occurred at lunch one day with his sis, when Mr. Quarterback wanted to kiss. Now Chris could sympathize with this, for he too had a hot girl to-do list. But Chris's sis rejected this guy with a diss. Then Mr. Quarterback got pissed and wound back tight his fist. But Chris blocked the fist aimed for his sis, and that's how Chris hurt his wrist. Timothy! All the way up. This thing is... How's it going? I got some good news today. A couple of months ago, I entered the Utah Arts Council and Torrey House Press are doing a thing to commemorate the 125th anniversary of Utah. It's Utah at 125, and it's got all kinds of cool people in it. Catherine Colt and that one Paisley Reckdahl, she's in it. And I entered a thing and found out this afternoon that I'm in that thing. It's 125 years of Utah, right? Which isn't like super inclusive of indigenous people. It's 125 years of Utah State. So I felt a little weird about that. I also kind of hate Utah for a lot of different reasons, but I thought maybe I can try to be a delegate up here in the north and the mountains and the rivers and stuff. And so I actually did kind of debate, should I, because it's a paying gig and all sorts of famous people in there. So I went ahead and did it, and it's 125 micro essays at 125 words apiece. 125 words. That's like not flash. They call it flash essay. Like that's like a quantum essay. 125 words. So I thought I had 2 weeks until my writers group met. I thought I'll crank out like 6 or 8 of these. I'll take it to writing group. They'll vote. Do a focus group. They'll vote on which one is good, take the top 3, polish those, and then submit one of them.
I was able to write 1.5 in that 2 weeks because it was 125 words. It was super difficult. And so this afternoon, okay, you're in, but apparently there was a lack of clarity in the submission guidelines, and some people counted their title and some people didn't count their title. And you're not supposed to count your title. I counted my title, and so the lady contacts me and says, "You got 3 more words. Put them in there somewhere," because it's called clear as vodka. So take the 3 words and put them in there. And one of the reasons I was almost late getting here is I was working on that and trying to get, it's like one of those little, maybe some of the older people will remember those little square plastic puzzles that have tiles of numbers in them, and you switch, there's only one blank space, and you're like almost to whatever it is, 17 or whatever, and then you're like, oh my, 17 is clear up here now. So that's what it was like, and so finally I just put the 3 words at the very end of the original one because I was running out of time. So this is it. It's just 125 words, and you can count them if you want. But the last 3 words are the extra ones, and that was like a kind of a cool gift until I realized that I would have to tear it apart. Anyway, so it's called Clear as Vodka. The Logan River runs clear and bright today. Wish I could say the same for my head. That's why I'm here, of course, seeking reprieve between the Wasatch and Bear River Mountains, fly fishing Utah's northernmost trout water. It's so clear, I spot a Bonneville cutthroat 40 feet upstream, a watery smear of bronze and crimson. I cast my fly, the trout rises, I squeeze the cork handle tight, but he doesn't bite. Instead, he follows the fly downstream, scrutinizing it with considerable diligence. The river is transparent, clear as vodka. I ogle the trout doubtfully, but my mind is already clearer. Quick as electricity, the trout strikes. I set the hook, net the fish, let the fish go. Then I wade upstream to find another.
We almost got some dog readers for a second.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, we've got 2 more readers on the list. Did anyone want to sign up and not want to make the trek? We've got Asher, okay? Stott! Yeah? Okay. Fine. Really excited to see people. Okay, beautiful. Then we'll carry on. Our next 2 readers are Rex, followed by Andrew.
Got kind of stiff sitting there on that hard concrete.
Keeps us awake.
Really close to your mouth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Use my opera voice.
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Rex, and I spend summers up here as a summer citizen. It's a great program. Live in Blue Square for 3 months and escape the heat of Arizona. So,
Welcome,
anyway,
Rex.
thank you for having me. I'm going to read a couple of very recent poems about aging, sort of getting older, and I'm starting to feel it. The first one is called Elegy for Pat. Elegy for Pat. You were the quiet man among 4 friends. All of us retired but you. At lunch sometimes, your shirt open just enough reveal the ruffled edge of a bandaged butterfly. Or was it the wing of a small broken bird? You never offered, and we never asked what it might be for. But I later wondered, was it perhaps a port into your soul? A private place where even friends are not permitted? And did you compensate the greedy boatman with a glimpse to ferry you beyond this life? Or did you choose to swim across instead? Another poem about getting older. It's called Requiem for the Year. Soon it will be winter in this valley. Yesterday on the hill above the river, summer yellowed into autumn like a leaf that blew away. The polar sky reached down, shrouding the sycamores and pines in a gray wool throw, and Arctic cotton filled the air with bogus, foreboding snow. When tomorrow finally comes, the wind howling like a lonesome, hungry timber wolf, and my breath smoking, what then? Today my thoughts follow geese south to warmer, sunny places. But my heart remains here on the hill above the river's corpse and the valley's shallow, open grave, green like a pine among the morning sycamores, patiently waiting for winter. Ooh, this is one called senescence. It's a fancy word for getting old. Senescence. The pages of his life grow glassine now, like old translucent skin, yellowed in a book whose spine begins to split. And so he picks it gently up, lest loosened pages fall and shatter on the ground, and scatter a diaspora of memory to the winds. For he is having trouble bending down, and fears he won't be quick enough to harvest what might drop, glean what hasn't blown away, or recollect how best to put it back into its proper order. He has, in fact, become his own amanuensis, no longer leading man he always thought he was. His life a palimpsest of half-remembered dreams, monochrome, not color, a record written over many times with words he should have taken back, sans serif in the present, sadly serif in the past. The words he should have written in their place. Oh, if only he could dredge them up in time to set them down before his body puts such matters finally to rest. His many sorries left unsaid, his goodbyes unexpressed, his crumbling, insufficient book shut and shelved too soon. Boy, that's really depressing. Actually, this is maybe not quite as depressing. It's called Consolation for an Aging Tenor, and it's for a friend, Barry Stein, who I've been in several operas with as an extra, and Barry has always been the leading tenor. It's called Consolation for an Aging Tenor, and it starts with a quote from Barry, first two lines of the poem. My parents were much younger at my age than I am now. But then again, my friend, your parents' voices were not trained like yours to reach high seas, with nowhere else left to go but down. Nor were they burdened by a perfect pitch that made each off-key note to you a torturous distraction. Admit that you've always envied them their steady middle C's, their lives predictably G major and set to 4/4 time. Yours instead was descant, a counterpoint to theirs. Its melody, a theme sung higher, well beyond their loving reach. And so your life diminuendos now, forte to piano, and sadly they are gone. Please do not despair, old friend. Somewhere in your night, a student prays a thank you for a gift the teacher and you gave them. Choristers pass down the tale of Barry's sonorous Salome Third Jew. Blue-haired groupies after Turandot still twitter at your Emperor Al tomb. And I remember you as well, dear friend, in my own dark night, as someone never calling me the lesser for the extra that I was. Well, let's see. Okay, I'm going to close with just a final poem, if I can get this device to work right. I hate technology. This is a poem for my wife Shirley. who's up here with me this summer. It's called Eulogy for Us, and it's kind of a eulogy to our 50th wedding anniversary, which is going to be next year. So, Eulogy for Us for Shirley. Someday, cartographers of love will map our landscape from the evidence we leave. Memories of senile friends, children, grandchildren, hostile neighbors, letters, postcards, trinkets meant for gifts now stored in attic boxes, pictures from an Instamatic with the smiles cracked off, even the books we read. The cartographers of love will place us in relief against romantic spheres, catalog the memories, correct the children's grammar, ignore the neighbor's gossip, edit all our words and rearrange our smiles, censor what we read. And from our distant world, we'll laugh and cry as usual, write letters, postcards, give trinkets for gifts, take new pictures, read the books we want, and go right on loving forever. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Is this close enough?
Nope.
Is this close enough? It's very echoey. It's very strange. Just before I read real quick, I'm Andrew. I've come here a lot over the past many years to Helicon West. It's actually the place where I first read any of my work ever. Was right here at Helicon West. And from there, gained a lot of my confidence in my writing and in my work. And this will probably be my last one for a while because I'm heading off to Ohio for a graduate program. So this place just means a lot to me. And so what I'm going to read from today is part of my thesis that I wrote for USU. I just graduated, and I'm going to read the end of it. It's a memoir called Becoming Bear, kind of talking about my coming out process and my journey through internalized homophobia and all this stuff over the years here in Utah and on. So it's called Becoming Bear. This is the end of the thesis, which is the end of kind of the first part of it. And just so everyone knows, there should be probably a trigger warning here because it does have to do with suicide. So. When I reached the other side of the park, I quickly slipped my shoes back on. It didn't take long after that to reach the bridge. It wasn't far from there to the gates of the sheep tunnels where Tiata once took Josh and me. If I were to pause and look close enough, I might have been able to make it out in the dark distance. But I didn't, not yet. Instead, I walked up the bridge. When I reached the center, I stepped over the barricade to the outer edge. Below me, I saw the lights of cars passing by. Part of me wanted them to look up and see me, to shout up and tell me to step back, to save myself. Stop. I just wanted someone to tell me to stop. Imagine, if you will, becoming broken. Body didn't shake. I couldn't even feel the cold anymore. My entire body numb. I couldn't feel anything. I looked up to the overcast sky and saw a break in the clouds. If they shifted enough, perhaps I could have seen a star or the moon. I could have found some light to guide me back home. Maybe it would have given me the strength to hold on just a little longer. But it was only an endless sky, moving on and on and on. It felt cliche to think of myself as a tiny speck in the middle of it all. But how could God find me in the midst of all this gigantic universe? I wondered if he sat with someone else that night. I wondered if I was the only one left to be with myself. There was a moment when I was 10, when I was too sick to attend the sleepover I'd been looking forward to all week. I was so angry, so upset, so sad that my dad bought the new Disney movie Atlantis. I watched it in bed with my mom. My father made soup and cheese sandwiches, and I studied my mother's fingers as she cross-stitched a wondrous depiction of Noah's Ark. I watched her lace the thread up and down, up and down. I leaned on her shoulder and she raised a hand to hold my cheek, pulling me closer. I wrapped my arms around my body. I felt my ribs, my stomach, my neck, my back, my wrists. I clasped my own hands together and I held myself. And though it would still be over a year before I came out as gay, and even longer before I could move through my own internalized homophobia, I found a way to accept myself. If no one would do it for me, for no one could do it for me, I would learn to claim my own being. There on the precipice, I would claim myself. And there's a moment here. Pay attention to it. As oxygen and blood beats beneath my skin, I see him, the boy with all the fear. I see his knuckles, the way they had burned white under the strength with which he clenched his fingers together, the way he held so tightly to himself. The boy who had always craved another body, another life, another person to hold on to, felt himself. The space between dry hair and wet toes, transcendence in his wide eyes, enveloped by a dark sky finally opening up. The slight upturn of his lips, a pause, a breath. Though he saw himself as one to be lost, he found the opportunity to simply be. And without fully understanding why, against every instinct, he pulled himself back from the ledge, back onto solid ground.
Okay, thank you. Oh no! Wait, is Star next? Oh, she's just hugging Andrew. Okay, I'll stop being, I'm just jealous, it's fine. Okay, our last three readers for the evening are Asher, followed by Star, followed by Brooke.
I've just got a couple of poems for you guys today. This first one is called Survivor's Guilt. When you hear he did it again, raped another girl, left her broke open, baby on the way. When you hear the tears in her husband's voice, how he describes the pain he just can't seem to fix. When your mutual friends tell you how their marriage splintered open around a baby girl she was too afraid to love and he was too afraid to want. You wonder at how the pain magnifies, a scab you can't stop picking open, left bleeding in the sick, sweet silence of the confession you never gave, the record you never made, the knowledge that maybe, somehow, if you'd only had the grit, you could have prevented that moment from happening at all, could have saved her, could have saved all of them, the way you couldn't save yourself. And then this is called Salt and Vinegar. 3 days my mother drove, money trickling away like river water, fuel, sandwiches, sodas, cheap candy. We roamed the city without place, one woman, 3 children, sardines in the back seat of her sedan. My strongest sense memory is 11 years old, sun beating hot through the open windows. The pop as the bag yawns open, sour, sick smell curling in my nostrils, the crisp crunch and the way it melted slowly in my unbelieving mouth. Taste bitter like communion wine, the way my mouth bloomed sharp with acid and burning salt. I ate the whole bag.
2 readers. So Brooke, if you're ready, come on down.
So I'm only in 6th grade and I haven't had a lot of experience with writing poems and saying them out loud to people, so
Best way to start.
it's called A Secret Inside the Obvious. Wind passing through the leaves, rustling, the chipmunks and birds bustling. If you look hard enough, you'll find something quite grand. Outside of what matters is only the brain. Outside all the filth, all the cars, all the disease caused by our mistakes and smoking cigars, songs and cries for help just ignored, and people getting cut for what they scored. Look past, and maybe be asked, what am I doing with my life? You should look to wildlife. They don't pollute, and rather here. They weren't the ones who destroyed Earth, and people aren't making a difference to help it hurt. If you look closer, you'll find something better. Let it wrap you up like a sweater. Just find a secret inside the obvious.
Yeah.
And this is a poem that I wrote for my
It's not the wrong one. Got this.
All the technical.
This is a poem that I wrote for my dad for Father's Day. Dear answers of the universe, how do you do it? How do you thank them for their cunning wit and the whole world that they knit together? For making the beautiful dress of our world, but always on the hem? They brought us the worms, they built us a home, a nest. Our teacher, who, with spelling confirms, and who only gave us the best. Who led us the way, and if not solid, but up above, will be there on the last day. This is a poem that I wrote for school. A story from an oak. Today the sun shines bright, the wind tickles my branches and leaves. The birds sing merrily, the brook laughs and trickles down the hill. That day was almost perfect. A monster came, big, yellow, with men on top of it, and making a buzzing sound. It cut down my friends, family, and even me. My lovely branches stripped away from my trunk. My lovely oak leaves were thrown away like they weren't something. I was turned into tons and tons of tiny pencils, and I had to work with graphite and clay, ugly things. But then a little girl started drawing a tree, an oak tree that resembled me in comforting way. We, that little girl and I, made that life has its simple pleasures. And this is my last one, Hearts. Some people think it's easy, think you're just peas in a pod, peasy. But actually think, really, it's not just a pure ceremony. Just as the shape of a real heart, and you'd think it'd be a piece of art. A fake heart is phony, like TV shows on Sony. A real love has many a difficulty. You might once feel guilty. It has hardships and sorrows, and dreading and hopings for tomorrows. But then, out of nowhere, it comes sunshine over there, sweet relief, as sweet as can. Then you can be joyfully dandy, with something normal. Now, not so formal, that's what makes love, not some dating site or fly dove. In spite of everything, you love with a little fling. You've done it. You've made it through. Nothing more can make you so blue. So go ahead, shout hooray, and now you know, with love, you'll make it another day.
Boy, do we ever need you back again here every single time. The beautiful dress of our world. Wasn't that fantastic? And Andrew, I am paying attention. Laura Stott, Blue Nude Poems. She wears a green dress, her feet are bare in summer sandals, long brown hair, glasses, her young, bright voice, just a little shaky in its timbre, not a heavy, resonant voice, but an endearing, make us want to put our arms around her voice, reading her poems populated with lanky, bare blue forms, the nudes, acting like wayward wanderers, finding a place in her brain and then spilling out in waves, blue nudes, entertaining us through their green dress narrator, stories we don't know we need until she brings them to the stage in the old outdoor amphitheater, a glance at the cracks in the concrete seats and steps, and we see a seep of blue, deep blue, the voice of the poet calling them forth, wind and the clouds, an accompaniment and a compliment, nudes, blue, and oh, the Lost Daughter poems, oh, love. And this is to laud the loves who rescued Helicon West, who accepted the work to nurture, sustain, and promote the new program, Risen Like a Phoenix, brought to vibrant life again. Hurrah! Britt, our new coordinator. And her sidekick, sound man, poster master, Nate. Yeah. Matt and Nano, our sugars. And by the way, if you go to sugarhousereview.com, you can contribute to Helicon West. So do that. Let's keep this thing going another 15 years, right? And Joseph, our Logan Library partner, thank you. And Camille, our Bear River Heritage venue finder and overall support, thank you. And Sarah, our Inclusion Center connection, thank you. Russ and Jennifer, our English department connection. Chad and Tim, our League of Utah Writers connection. And by the way, you should get this book, Soul, Sand, and Sky. It's got a lot of really great pieces in it, poems and nonfiction pieces and fiction pieces, and Chad and Tim have some really spectacular ones, and so do a number of you, and Britt, I'm in there. It's a great book, so I hope you can get it. All right, let's see. Oh yes, and all of you, thank you. And our readers tonight who were so great, Timothy, Chad, Rex, welcome back Rex, and Andrew, please come back again. Next time it's at the Whittier Center, the fourth Thursday in July, and Britt is reading from her new book, Harvest, which, by the way, if you go to sugarhousereview.com, you can read a review about her book, Harvest. Britt, next time, Helicon West. Be there, Whittier Center, downtown. Did you need to say anything else, darling? We love you. Come back. Woo!
Ha 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 ha.